Today's video is going to be about confidence. When I work with people, and this can be from the best athletes and Olympians in the world to some of the most successful CEOs that we all know of, everyone still struggles with confidence. So no matter who you are or what your position is, confidence is a skill that we can all work on. And so I have spent the last 5-6 years now really studying and understanding and kind of obsessing over how we can rewire the brain to become more confident. And I've read over 150 papers, over 50 books, and I've studied, the champions of our world. When we see them and they just have this unstoppable confidence, how do they get it? And there are 3 key things that have come up time and time again that are just the common denominators of all of these things. So whether that's from a neuroscience point of view, whether it's from a practical point of view, or from a results point of view, these 3 things are the habits that make the biggest difference. So if you want to become more confident, and this doesn't have to be in years, this can be in 20, 30 days, then I would take this very seriously. And by the end of this video, you will have enough practical guidance and evidence to be able to actually take action right away. So if you're new here, my name is Maya Raichura, and I'm the UK's leading mental fitness and visualization expert. And my job is to help you think, feel, and perform like the top 1%. So I'm really excited to be building this mental fitness community. So of course, follow, subscribe, come and be part of it. This is just a chance for you to get mentally fit, more resilient, more confident, manage your emotions better. I'm obsessed with it, and I think the world should be doing it. So that is me. Let's just start with what confidence actually is. A lot of people think confidence is you've got to be the loudest in the room, or you've got to be the most popular. But really, confidence is personal to you. So you've got to decide, okay, what does confidence mean to me? So for me, it's I can walk into a room, and even if someone doesn't like me, I know I like myself. That for me is the biggest confidence I can have. I'm secure in my decisions, the way I think. I know I can handle anything. But of course, there's part of it that does and can show up, being quite, captivating. And I really enjoy that as well. And that has been a skill I have developed. And so the first thing you want to do is define confidence for who you are. After you've defined that, the number one thing that has come up, and this is especially amongst athletes and performers and, definitely from the scientific journals as well, is building a self-confident image. Now, I know that sounds a little bit fluffy, and what does that actually mean? So the way the mind and body works is if you act or talk or walk or see yourself in a certain way, you will then basically reaffirm that and fulfill whatever that is. So if you think you aren't a very confident person, or, you continue to speak without much clarity or confidence or conviction, then it's going to stay like that. And so when it comes to building a self-image, the top skill and technique to make this happen is visualization. And so I used visualization to build up my confidence, and it has made such a huge difference. So what this actually looks like is, after defining what a confident you looks and feels like, you close your eyes and you mentally rehearse you mentally rehearse that version of you. Now, some people like to add a character to this, which is called the Batman effect, where you basically create a version of you that's maybe not you, but it's still what you're striving towards. Or you are just able to see yourself as, Maya 2.0. So how does she dress? How does she walk? How does she talk? How does she interact with people? What are the habits she's doing? And when you repeatedly visualize this again and again and again, the brain starts to form these new pathways in the mind to be oh, actually, this is how I want to act. This is how I want to feel. And the coolest thing about this is when you actually start to feel that confidence in your body during the visualization, this now becomes your more familiar state. So rather than feeling that insecurity or what you always used to feel like, actually now you are becoming more of that person. And I know some people might be watching this being oh, this is just fake it till you make it. But this is genuinely neuroscience. And if you look at athletes, what they do, they will always think of themselves on the pitch or in their match, who do they want to be? How do they want to show up? And so in the same way, we can do that for our own lives. And, I lost my confidence maybe 6 years ago, when I became really ill, I lost all my confidence, all of it. and I felt like a little shell in my body, and I would see confident people and be like, oh my God, I wish that was me. But really, it is a skill, and if we invest in it every single day and we allow ourselves to see who we want to be, we can get there. So the first thing is visualization, and you want to do this maybe like 5 to 7 minutes a day, like a couple of times a week, and you'll start seeing differences literally immediately, but also in the long run, in about 20 days, about 2 weeks, you'll start to really feel it. In about 4 weeks, you'll start to see it in the way you talk or walk or the results you're getting. And then in between 8 to 12 weeks, that's when it really becomes part of your identity, and it's like you've actually changed as a person. The second thing, self-talk. Being very intentional with your self-talk. Now, all of us have this thing in our brain that is chatting to us all the time. And because we have a negativity bias, a lot of the time it's going to be negative. It's going to be saying things like, you can't do this, you're going to fail, or like, you're not smart enough, all of those sort of things. And I used to have the same as well. And it's not to say that you're never going to have bad self-talk. It's more, you can be more intentional with it. You understand that you can control it. And so having positive self-talk, there are actually 3 types. You have the very motivational self-talk, which is like, you can do this, or like, you're going to win, which is, it has its role to play. Then you have the more encouraging self-talk. Now, life happens, right? Sometimes you are in really difficult situations, or you're not feeling great. Sometimes when you're like, oh yeah, like keep going, or you're always going to win, like it doesn't always help. And sometimes we need a self-talk that is just kind, that is like, it's okay if you feel a bit rubbish, like let it pass and then we'll move on. And so really understanding the difference between your motivational and encouraging self-talk as well. Now, there is another type of self-talk, which is more tough love. And that's when some people like and respond to, I guess, a bit more of like harsher self-talk. So if you know David Goggins, who is like a very famous runner and motivational speaker, he's very aggressive with his self-talk, but that can work for some people. So I think it's, again, understanding for you personally, what is the voice that is going to help you? And at different times, it's going to be different. But the key here is self-talk is crucial when you're feeling amazing and you are winning, when you're feeling neutral, and also when you're not feeling great. And so understanding what you need at each of those things is really important. So for example, when I'm feeling amazing, I actually am not always the best at recognizing that. But instead of being like, woohoo, like I'm amazing, I actually just go to gratitude. I'm like, thank you, and I appreciate it, and like, I'm kind to myself. When I'm in neutral, that's when I'm actually a little bit more harsher. I have a lot more motivational self-talk where I'm like, Maya, you can do this. Like, keep going. You can handle anything. Because that is my natural self-talk on a day-to-day basis that keeps me quite energized, and it's just naturally part of my personality now. Then you've got when you're in like a low state or maybe not feeling amazing. And this changes for me. So my self-talk will probably go more on the kinder side, but it used to be so judgmental. I used to be so hard on myself. Like literally, you're not good enough, you're awful, all those sort of things. But now, actually, it's just, I hit it with kindness. I literally kill it with kindness. And what it allows me to do is feel it and then move through it so I can get to neutral and then up again. And so your self-talk is very dynamic, but the thing to remember is what you are feeding your mind is so important. And there's this amazing legend that talks about our brain having 2 wolves. And one of the wolves is positive and very constructive and helps you in life. The other wolf is negative and like destructive. And this grandfather was telling his grandson about these 2 wolves. And the grandson was like, well, who wins? Like they're always fighting. So who wins? And the grandfather was like, it's the one you feed. And that is so true. Your self-talk gets fed. You have to feed it the right stuff. And like I said, that's not always going to be that super positive. Sometimes it can just be a bit more neutral. So really focusing on, okay, what am I feeding my self-talk? What am I consuming? Who's around me? What am I telling myself? That is super important. And so when it comes to your self-talk, the more you can repeat it, that's how you can really help to rewire the brain. Okay, so we've had visualization, we've had self-talk. Now the last thing is little wins or little victories. So a big part of confidence is you also have to build your competence, right? So confidence is where you have a belief in yourself that you can do something and you can walk out there and you know you have the capability. But a big part of this is also knowing that, you do have the skills and you're building that skill set to make it happen. And so little wins is this idea that for most people, we only celebrate ourselves when we've achieved something like big, or we feel we have confidence if we've done it before. And that makes sense. But the process of little wins allows you to build trust and assurance in yourself, even if you haven't achieved that thing just yet, or you're not that person just yet. And so the thing I would suggest here is no matter how big or small a win is, you write it down. So for example, today my win is that I woke up a bit earlier and that I went outside for a walk before I start my day. Cool. Some days it might be, one of my wins could be like winning an award or doing a presentation in front of like 500 people. Great. Sometimes a win is just like, okay, I got out of bed. Like, the wins are going to look different each day, but the point is that you recognize them. So I have a list on my phone that I literally just write them down. And the cool thing about this is that, well, let's say I'm not feeling amazing. I have this bank of little wins on my phone, but also in my brain that I can come back to. And so it just gives you that reassurance that actually, no, like Maya, you are making progress. And often when we don't take notice of these little wins, we're just always in it and we're on autopilot and we're just on to the next thing. We never stop to be like, cool, like I appreciate myself. And so I like to talk about it where, you know, you take your pom-poms and you just shake them around for yourself and just celebrate it. Like, you've got to be the one clapping for you, no matter how small or big it is. And so little wins is key, and really noticing them will also start to change your mindset when it comes to recognizing when you can celebrate yourself. And we're very good at encouraging others and being like, oh, wow, you did this. But when it comes to ourselves, we're not as good with it. So these are the three key things that scientifically, but also in practice, make the biggest difference. So they make the most impact. So you've got visualization, self-talk, and then you've got little wins. So when it comes to actually starting to bring this into your day, well, right now, here and now, you could literally start with any of these. Okay, so little wins, really easy. Just start a list on your phone immediately after this video. Self-talk, the thing you want to be conscious about your self-talk is it takes time. But a great way is to first start catching your self-talk, so noticing your self-talk and what you say. Then be curious about it and start to change it. Okay, so we want to catch it and then we want to change it. And initially it's going to feel a little bit forced, but then eventually it just becomes part of your mentality and your way of thinking. And then with the visualization, I would suggest spending 5 to 7 minutes where you can close your eyes and really envision that confident version of you after you have defined it. So all of these things you can start. I'd say the little wins is probably the easiest option. I think the self-talk is going to be ongoing, but it can be quite hard. And I'd say visualization, well, I'm not gonna lie, it's super fun. And literally I do it every single day and it makes such a difference. So when it comes to your confidence, focus on these 3 aspects. They make the most difference. And that's all I have to say. And just remember, confidence is your journey. So it's very easy to compare it to someone else's and what it looks like, but really figure out your lane and your race and what confidence means to you.